Well, good morning on this beautiful sunny morning. Reminds us of the days that we enjoyed during the summer. Hopefully some of you managed to get down to the beach, swimming, enjoy our beautiful coastline. How many of you like to go swimming during the summer? It's pretty good. Oh, wonderful. Well, I can enjoy that as well. Okay, well, my name's David. I'm an education volunteer with the RNLI. I'm also involved with the local branch in Melbourne. I visit schools like yours to talk to young people, principally about how to keep yourselves safe when you go near to the water, but also to give you a little bit of insights into what the RNLI does. So we've got a few slides, a few videos, which we'll show you. And we'll start off by looking about what the RNLI is. You can see there, you won't be able to read what's on it, but you can see there's a map on the side there of our country. You'll see that it includes the whole of Ireland, because the RNLI is very nearly 200 years old. In 2024, we're going to be having a very big party. And 200 years ago, Ireland was part of our country. And when, early in the last century, it became an independent country, nothing in terms of the RNLI activity changed. So we have lifeboats and lifeguards all around the coast. Lots of them to help people out at sea, on our beaches, around our coasts, who may get into difficulties. And our nearest lifeboat station is the one at Poole. So there we can see the lifeboat station in Poole. It's a floating lifeboat station, which is quite unusual, just by the old lifting bridge on the end of the Heath. There are two lifeboats there. They're kept inside and they're not busy. And there they are going out to help somebody. So when somebody needs help, our crews are nearly all volunteers. That means that they have jobs. They're not at the lifeboat station. They're not sat there waiting for somebody to get into difficulties. They're at home, they might be at work, they might be digging the garden, making a cake for the children's tea party, or even asleep in bed. When they get the call, they have to come to the lifeboat station and get kitted up. So they put a warm underlayer on. They need something to keep them dry. So there we have a suit that keeps them dry, and a life jacket, of course, really important to keep them safe, helmet to protect their heads, and she's ready to go. And typical of the kind of things that they might have to do.
Inside the ball now, please, buddy. And we've got Mark's going to give you a hand.
Nice and slow, okay?
Step on the side. There we go. Perfect.
So the motorboat had broken down, there were rescuing people. Some slightly unusual views of Poole Harbour there. If somebody is really badly hurt, the quickest way to get them to hospital is by helicopter. But transferring between a lifeboat and a helicopter, as you saw in that training clip, is really very difficult. So it's something that our crews have to practice time and time again, so that when they're doing it with a person who really is hurt, they know how to do it, and they can do it quickly and efficiently. But as well as lifeboats, of course, we have lifeguards on our beaches during the summertime. And they're much more likely to be the people of the RNLI that you might meet. Hope you never actually have to meet a lifeboat crew person, particularly not if they're actually going to rescue you. But lifeguards on the beaches, you can always go and talk to them. They love to talk to young people, to explain to you ways to keep yourself safe. If somebody needs help, they have a variety of ways of coming to help you. A rescue board is one they probably use more than anything else. This lifeguard is going to help a girl and her father get caught up on some rocks and can't get back to the beach.
Will be slippery
Very easy to slip into the water and you don't mean to. If you're going for a walk along cliffs or going out to look at birds, something like that, please do make sure that you keep well back from the cliff edges. Cliff edges are very unstable. That means that they can crack away, they can fall down, or you can slip. We do have to rescue, unfortunately, a number of people who've fallen over cliffs and are really badly hurt. We really wouldn't want that to happen to you. So while taking selfies may be important, it's much more important to keep yourself safe and just keep that little bit back from the cliff edge. Many places, particularly during the winter, there won't be any lifeguards on the beaches. The lifeguards are only there during the summertime generally. So if you are going down, if you'd like to go swimming all the year round, then be extra careful. There are no lifeguards there. And if you want to enjoy water sports, then do try to join a group or a club so that you can learn how to do it properly and keep yourselves well looked after. One thing we really are trying to stress to you is not to use inflatables on the beach. An inflatable is any big blow-up toy that you sit on top of. I'm not talking about paddle boards that you blow up. Those are absolutely fine. And if you're in a canoe, it's got good paddling so you can control it, that's fine as well. But we're talking about the swans and the unicorns and the big rubber rings, because they're so easy to get blown away. The lifeguards are going around picking up all these inflatables which have got blown off the beach. Luckily they didn't have any young people on them. Very frequently they do. If you were on an inflatable like that and had to be rescued by a lifeguard, I think you'd be pretty frightened in that period until the lifeguard could come. So please keep them for the swimming pool or keep them on the beach, but don't take them out into the sea. And then when you do go to the beach in the summertime, when there are lifeguards, do look out for the flags. I'm sure you all know what the red and yellow flags mean. You can tell me what the red and yellow flags mean. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well done. Absolutely right. You can swim between the red and yellow flags. As you can see, they're the same colours as the lifeguards. It's very easy to remember, isn't it? And that's the area where the lifeguards particularly are watching. They're watching elsewhere as well, but that's the area they're really watching. And that's the area where it's safe to swim and safe to play soft games. If you want to play with a bodyboard, not a surfboard, but a bodyboard, which won't hurt another person if you hit them, or with a small ball, then you can play with those things in that area as well. We don't get very many black and white flags on our beaches, but if you go further west, into Devon and Cornwall, where you see lots of surfing activity, you'll see lots of black and white flags. That's showing you the area for the surfers, for the paddleboarders, where they can go to keep them away from swimmers. Because if they hit a swimmer, the swimmer would really get badly hurt. So if you see people surfing, windsurfing, canoeing, then try to keep away from them, because they can't always see you if you're in the water. If you're in the water, there's only your head probably showing above the waves, and if there are any waves at all, you keep disappearing. So somebody, particularly on a fast-moving thing like a windsurf or a surfboard, they won't be able to see you, so you need to keep out of their way. I talked about not taking inflatables on the sea, and the only other flag that you might see occasionally is a red flag, which the lifeguards will fly if there's something dangerous that day. They're just saying, don't go in the water at all today in this place because there's something dangerous. We don't know what it is, they do, and they're warning us. One of the things that we do have to rescue a lot of people from is tidal cut-off. I'm sure you all know about the tides coming in twice every day. if you're going walking around a headland, if you walk around at low tide, if you don't know what time the tide is going to come back in, the tide will come back and will cover all the pathway. You won't be able to get back to where you want to be, or to be able to get back up to go home again. We have to rescue a lot of people who get stuck that way. So always make sure you know what times the tide will be coming in and out if you're going to go walking along the coastline. The second one of our messages was about staying together. It's really important that you stay where your family and friends, that you've gone to the beach, who can see you and you can see them, so that everybody knows that you're okay and you know where they are. If something goes a bit wrong, you want to go and tell them. The lifeguards are there to help you. So if you do lose your family and friends, you can always ask a lifeguard to help you find them. They have loudspeaker system on the beaches. They can call for them to come and pick you up from their lifeguard station. They're trusted adults. They're there to help you. Anything you want to ask them, they would love to talk to you about it. But not just on the beach. It's really important that wherever you go near to water, even if you're going out for maybe a run or you're taking the dog out, please do try to make sure that you're with at least one other person. Because accidents do happen. About half the people we have to help each year never actually expected to go into the water at all. They got into the water by accident. Accidents do happen. I know we all know that accidents are not going to happen to us, but unfortunately they do sometimes. And if there's nobody with you, nobody will be able to help you, nobody will be able to call for help. And if you fall into water unexpectedly, particularly if that water is cold, which generally it is in this country all year round. The water at the moment, September, is about as warm as it ever gets because it's been warming up all the way through the summertime. And it's still only about 12 or 13 degrees. That's quite cold. You wouldn't get into a bath if it was that cold. If you fall in unexpectedly, when you haven't told your body that it's going to be going into cold water, then you will get something called cold water shock. And this film will explain it to you.
Hi, I'm Matt Middleton and I'm here in Brighton in the middle of March, and as you can see it's blowing a hoolie. I'm here to meet some guys from the Royal National Lifeboat Institution to find out about cold water shock. Talk to me about cold water shock, because the first thing you want to do is flail around, shout for help, and that's the worst thing to do, right?
Yeah, that is the worst thing to do.
Why is that?
You would gasp for air. Some people inhale water. Send your heart rate really, really fast.
They drown, ultimately.
Yeah.
The sun comes out, people get excited, they jump in the water, and the next thing they know, they're in trouble.
Even though the air temperature can be quite warm, the sea can still be really cold.
On average, how cold are the waters?
It's about 12 degrees.
That doesn't sound too cold, does it?
Even up to 15 degrees, you can see the signs of cold water shock.
You say fight your instincts, don't you, basically?
If we relax, bring your stomach and your chest up to the water surface, spread your arms, that's how you can float your body and keep your airway nice and clear as well.
I class myself as a very capable swimmer and a very strong swimmer, but having been exposed to 12 degrees of water, everything took over.
Yeah.
I had to really think about what I was doing. For someone falling in the water, it's going to take a real effort to make sure that you stay calm.
Yeah. When people fall in the water, they get very confused and they almost forget how to swim.
If you automatically think about floating and not moving, you will naturally calm yourself down. Float for what, 60?
For 60 to 90 seconds to calm down so that you can call for help.
The cold water and the elements, if you do not respect them, will beat you. Respect the water, float to live. I'm out of here.
So how many of you know how to float by that? It's really, really good. Over the last 5 or 6 years, we've really been pressing this message of learning to float. When I asked that question to a class of children or a school of children 5 or 6 years ago, probably less than half would have put up their hands. Now, most of the schools I go to, it's nearly everyone. It's really, really important that you do know how to float, but also that you practice it. Please, every time you go swimming, will you just take 1 minute out of your time to practice floating so that it's absolutely automatic. And if ever you did have an accident where you fell into water unexpectedly, then you would know, almost without thinking, that you should float, you could float, you know that you could do it, and you wouldn't thrash around as the lifeguard there is talking about. So it's probably the single most important thing I'm going to say to you this morning. And the last of our 4 messages was about what to do if things do go wrong. Well, if it's you that's in the water and you need help, putting one hand up like this chap here is a signal that you want help. It's a signal that works wherever you are in the world. Anybody will recognise it. One hand up in the air, hold it still if you can, try not to wave. One hand up like that looks really, really strange when people are looking at you from the coast. They will recognise that you're signalling that you want help. If you've got something with you, paddleboard, a canoe that's turned over, bodyboard even, whatever it might be, do please hold onto it. Don't leave it and try and swim back to the shore. It's probably further than you think, and you may be more tired than you think you are. If you hold on to it, it will help to actually keep you safer. You might be getting cold, but it will keep you floating and out of the water. But actually, more important than that, it makes you bigger. I said earlier on when I was talking about surfboards and windsurfers by the beach, it's quite difficult to see somebody who's just swimming in the water. It's only your head showing. The head is very small, and the waves can probably be bigger than your head. So it's very difficult to see you. If you're holding on to something, particularly if it's something that's quite brightly coloured, then that makes it much easier for you to be seen. So people who need to see you, that you're in trouble will see you, but also the people that are coming to rescue you will be able to see you more easily. If you do see somebody who's in trouble like that, then it's really important that the first thing you do is, if you've got a phone, the older ones, or if you with somebody, find somebody who's got a phone and ask them to phone 999. Anybody in trouble in the water, that's an emergency, just the same as a road accident or a fire in a house. It's an emergency, you can use the emergency numbers. There's another one there, 112, that works just exactly the same. It also works anywhere in Europe if you go on holiday there when we're able to. 999 only works in this country. It's an easy number to remember. I'm sure it's the one that you all know. When you get through on that number, ask for the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is part of government. It's not the same as the lifeboats. It's part of government, and they coordinate any rescues around our coast. But once you've made that call, that's not the only thing we would ask you to do. Please stay and watch what happens. If you can, shout to the person in the water to make sure that they know that help is coming, because that will make them feel better later. One thing we ask you not to do is to try to go in the water to help. It's really, really difficult to help somebody if you're in the water as well. We have to help. We have to rescue a lot of people who go into the water to help somebody else and then get into difficulties themselves. If you can find some kind of rescue equipment, maybe a ring buoy in one of the boxes that you see around the coast now, or anything else, you can throw it to them. You can reach them. Do stay and watch and see where they are, because they may just move with the current or the tide or the wind from where you've told the Coast Guard they are. So when the rescue arrives, if you're still there and you can point to where the person in the water is, that could save them a bit of time trying to find them. So that's also an important part of calling for help. Next little clip will just help you to remember that it's 999, ask for the Coast Guard if you see somebody in trouble.
Coast Guard Rescue.
We are fortunate to have some of the most beautiful coastlines in the world. We want everyone to enjoy it, but we want you to do it safely. If you see someone in difficulty on the coast, call 999 and ask for the Coast Guard.
This is Southern Coast Guard. Roger, you on scene? Many thanks. Southern Coast Guard.
So if you phone 999, ask for the Coast Guard will know the best way to get rescued to the person that you've seen. That is by a lifeboat or a lifeguard. They will call us. We come right back to the beginning of our talk this morning. The lifeboat crew will run to the lifeboat station, get kitted up as you saw, and will go and help the person on the water. So those are the 4 key messages. They're really, really important. Do please remember them. Talk to your friends and family about them so that we can help others to keep safe as well. Stop and think about how to keep yourself safe. Stay together. Never be by water or on your own if you possibly can, just in case anything goes wrong. Learn to float, most of you already know. Practice it every time you go swimming. And remember, if something does go wrong or you see somebody in trouble, 999 and ask for the Coast Guard. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope there's 1 or 2 things in there maybe you didn't know before, reminded you perhaps of things that you already knew, and really, really important things for you to think about when you're near to water. Going into winter, when water can be even more dangerous than during the summertime. Looking forward to next summer, and you can be back out on the beaches enjoying the sunshine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So thank you. It's a very important message, isn't it? Because we are so lucky that we do spend an awful lot of our time on our beaches and on our cliff tops very, very near the water. And even if we don't get into trouble, we now know how to help somebody else. And I think that message of not going in the water to help is so important. So thank you for listening. And we show our appreciation by giving David a round of applause.